Hello and welcome to the LaLanne Pass It On podcast. My name is Greg Justice, and I am here with my co-host Elaine LaLanne, and we also have a special co-host with us today, Dan Isaacson. And before we get to our very special guest today, Dr. Cooper, I'm going to welcome in Elaine. How are you today, Elaine?
Well, I'm great. I'm heading there for 100, in 6 months. Wow. Can you believe it? I've got all sorts of things to ask Dr. Ken Cooper today. And I hope you'll all stay tuned.
Well, today on the LaLanne Pass It On podcast, we welcome Dr. Kenneth H. Cooper, the world-renowned physician, author, and visionary known as the Father of Aerobics. His groundbreaking work transformed exercise from a pastime into a prescription for health, inspiring millions worldwide to take charge of their fitness. As founder of the Cooper Clinic and author of 20 books, Dr. Cooper has shaped how we think about prevention, longevity, and living healthier at every age. We're excited to dive into his journey, his insights on living longer and healthier, and his thoughts on how we can all grow healthier as we grow older. Dr. Cooper, it's a pleasure to have you as our special guest today.
Thank you much for the invitation. I've been looking forward to this interview.
you know, he just mentioned a journey, your journey, my journey, everybody's journey. And lately I have been interested in origins. And in fact, as I got so interested in origins, I wanted to know where July came from, where the word goes back to the Roman Empire. And then I had September, that goes back to the Roman Empire. I know you don't go back as far as the Roman Empire, but you're you and I are kind of the same age, but you're what, 90, 94,
I'm
and
94.
you're 94, and I'm going to be 100. So, and we just met uh, after about 20 or 30 years, I guess. Can you pull up that picture of Ken and I meeting? This was at the National College of Lifestyle Medicine, where we got he was Jack and I got an award for 19 not 19. Listen, I'm living back in those days. 2022, and Dr. Ken got it for Dr. Ken got it for 2023, and we were inducted into their Hall of Fame, and this is the day that we met after all those years. You started medicine when? I mean, when did you become interested? Were you a teenager?
Well, I started as a teenager when I was in high school up in Oklahoma City. I did win the state championship in the mile run and made all-state in basketball my senior year. I continued exercise in college. I was on a track scholarship at the University of Oklahoma. And I did well in high school and in college, but then I got into medical school and I didn't have time to exercise. And obesity is the most common manifestation of stress. So weighing 165 to 168 during my high school and college years, I rapidly started gaining weight. By the time I finished my internship, I weighed 204 pounds. Dramatic increase. I was hypertense. I had a pre-diabetic condition because I hadn't done anything for 6 years, because I didn't know at that time that exercise was health. Exercise is medicine. I thought exercise was just competitive athletics. I think that was important. My dramatic turn in my life, when at age 29, after being totally inactive for so many years, I decided to go water skiing for the first time. Went water skiing, tried to ski a slalom chloride ski before, got halfway through it, and I developed severe chest pain, and my heart started racing like crazy. They got me over to the side. When I got over to the beach, my heart rate came back to normal. The chest pain disappeared. I was still in the Air Force. And the next day, I had a complete diagnostic workup. I was still in the Air Force at the School of Aerospace Medicine in San Antonio. After a third diagnostic workup, the only thing they said is wrong with you, doc, you're just out of shape. 29 years of age, hypertension, pre-diabetic. So I determined then to change my life. I lost the weight within 6 months, ran my first marathon a year later. I ran for 40 years and 38,000 miles. And during that time, I ran the Boston Marathon twice. In fact, I placed, back in 1962, I placed 101st in the Boston Marathon. Sounds fantastic. Only 150 people ran it back in those days. So it's not so dramatic. But again, I started an exercise routine that myself first, and I saw the changes in my life. And I lost the weight, got him back in better shape. And the one thing that I noticed, it made me feel better. Over the years, we've been showing our scientific studies that people that embrace the concept of exercise, they become less depressed. They become less of a hypochondriac, have improved self-image, much more positive attitude towards life, and fewer somatic complaints. As I say in my new book, don't you want to have those characteristics as you're aging in life, to have a zest for life, as I do at 94 years of age, still coming to work every day. But every day I start my day with Bible study, number one. I'm very strong in my belief, but I end the day by exercising. I don't run or jog anymore, but I get 30 minutes of exercise on a recumbent bicycle at least 5 days a week. That translates to 150 minutes per week, and that's what's now recommended. American College of Sports Medicine, the American Heart Association, and the American Stroke Association. But we find that lifestyle is the key to longevity, and no drug can replicate the benefits of an active lifestyle. So these are things I've tried to embrace the concept now. With all these articles published, I think it's safe to say that we bridge the gap between faddism and scientific legitimacy in using exercise to practice medicine, and the results are too impressive to be ignored.
You mentioned your new book, Grow Healthier as You Grow Older. And in that book, the very first question you ask, how satisfied are you with your current state of life?
Exactly right.
How would you personally answer that question?
Well, over the years, when I've lectured frequently, I ask people who've been exercising for a long time, what motivates you to exercise? Prevention of dying, whatever it may be. The vast majority say, because it makes me feel good. Are you feeling good now? Are you sure? I've had so many letters from people telling me, I wish I could have known how much better I could feel 20 years ago, because I've lost all of those good years. I could have felt better. Just think about that. And you have to understand that your health is your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the government, the insurance company, or the only person that can determine how well and how long you live is you, what you do for yourself. You can slow down the aging process. We know that by eliminating cigarette smoking, inactivity, obesity, the three major things we recommend to slow down the aging process. You can actually grow healthier, as we see people coming back here for their annual examinations are walking longer on the treadmill as they're getting older. So we've proven that you can actually, from physiological measurements, look at heart rate response and all, you can see them improving in the future. I'm going through some muscle activation technique now because I had to stop running back in 2004 after breaking my legs snow skiing for 52 years. Never had an injury, tibia plateau fracture. But it didn't knock out my exercise. I just transitioned because you have to continue. It's a long-term endeavor. You have to keep it up. So as I said, I transitioned to recumbent cycling. But also I've had a problem with my right leg. The quadricep muscle on the right isn't as strong now as the one on the left. So I'm going through something new, brand new. It's called muscle activation technique. Contrary to what I was taught in medical school, and I talked about the myths of aging and exercise, you can build up muscle mass after 50 years of age. It automatically goes down unless you start embracing some calisthenics and weight training, as Jack so effectively did. I see that biceps muscle there too. So going through muscle activation technique now, I'm doing that twice a week for an hour, twice a week. I've now built up muscle strength in my right leg and eliminating that loss of balance that's leading me to have a fall. And keep in mind that elderly people, when they fall, they die. They fracture the hip, and they don't recover from that.
That's right.
Keep in mind, too, that more women die from osteoporotic fractures of the hip than die from breast cancer every year. And that's something that can be prevented. Also, we believe that breast cancer can be prevented too if you diagnose it early. So our goal here is people coming through the clinic from all over the world, they come here with the hope of trying to prevent cancer and heart disease, that they can't prevent it, diagnose it early. And by doing that, we're saving lives and proving through our research that people coming here at least 20 times over a 45-year period are living 10 years longer than the national average. Our women are averaging 90.4 years, 86.5 years for an average of 88.6 years. And that ranks us 47th, but that ranks us 10 years on the national average, which we rank 47th internationally in this country in longevity, because we spend way too much of our health service dollar on desperate measure that prolongs death, not life. And that's what I'm trying to change in this book, getting people Cooperized to prove that you can enjoy a long life, square off the curve, living a life condensing the time of senility and senescence to a short period of immediately prior to death. Isn't that the way you want to live? If I die tomorrow, praise the Lord, I've had a good life.
First book,
Yeah,
Aerobics.
I got a
Aerobics
question.
changed lives of so many people. You know, I can remember when it first came out, and we first met at the Milathon at the Long Beach University. So you are amazing with this aerobics. What was your what you did to start your career in aerobics? It seems like all you did was running, and you took your you when you went out and you changed your life from fat to skinny. uh, you you were exercising and doing aerobics all the time. Is that what prompted you on the book on aerobics?
With Aerobics, published 1968, I thought all you had to do was just exercise. Forget about your diet, your weight, exercise enough. That's all you need to do. But over the years, I found that was a mistake. And so I finally said that you have to combine all these aspects of getting Cooperized, and exercise is only a part of it. It's a foundation of a good preventive medicine program, but it's not the only thing we need to concentrate on. And certainly I have this rule now. In your 30s, 80% of your exercise should be aerobic, but 20% should be musculoskeletal conditioning. As you get in your 40s, it goes to 70 and 30. When you get up to 50, it's 55 and 65. So you have to build the muscle training up as you get older. Otherwise, you're not totally fit. And that's what I want you to be. That's the reason I exercise. In addition to the recumbent cycle, that exercise for 30 minutes. I always have my 10 minutes of weight training at the end of that. Now I'm twice a week. I have 1 hour of weight training and conditioning as muscle activation.
You weren't always into weight training at the beginning when you wrote aerobics.
I didn't think
into weight training then.
That's right. I wasn't against that, but I was convinced you can be over muscled like you can be over fat.
Well, you know, everybody in those days, when I was growing up, if you worked out with the weights, you would get muscles like a man, and everybody was when I was growing up, and I'm pretty old. They believed that you would get, you know, you didn't have much upstairs, and you would get too over bulky and whatnot. But that was one of the reasons that Jack wanted to, and that's one of the reasons that you wanted to bring out that exercise is a body normalizer. If you're too heavy, it'll help you lose weight. If you're underweight, it'll help you build up. It always helps those muscles.
But so many people who were over muscled were using anabolic steroids back in those early days too.
Right. But in those days, when I was growing up, there weren't many people using steroids.
Jack never did, I'm sure. Never did use anabolic steroids.
But they were doing something like Anabol or something, some of them. But from what Jack told me. But anyway, you were at the forefront of a fitness industry, and it's exciting to talk to you.
I'm just curious. You had mentioned that your health is your responsibility. You've said that many a times. You just said it a little bit ago. Let me ask you this. Why do you think so many people struggle with taking ownership of their own health?
They don't realize potential benefits from it until they get started. That's all there is to it. But a lot of people are afraid to exercise. My father, a practicing dentist in Oklahoma City, never embraced my concepts of exercise when I was in high school, winning the state champions in the mile and all state basketball. Because back in those days, this is back in the 40s, he was afraid I would get an athletic heart, in which an athletic heart is a muscular heart. You stop exercising, you burst in fat, and you die early. So he never saw me watch me play basketball. He never saw me run a track meet. My mother did. She poured me all the way. My father was rebelling. He wouldn't keep me from doing it. I've outlived him by 18 years because he was afraid I was dying early because of a mistake we're making back in those days. Why do you think the resting heart rate goes down in aerobically trained athletes? Average American male, 72. Average American woman, 78. It drops down to the 40s and 50s. Why? Because the conservation of energy. Because that wasn't a enlarged heart just from muscle. It was a large heart because the heart dilated. It can pump out more blood with each stroke, called the ejection fraction. It's a conservation of energy, and that's why people who are aerobically trained are living longer, because they have saved the number of heartbeats, don't have to beat as much to wear out the heart. And that was something that had went completely against the grain. They thought when the book came out in 1968, the streets were going to be full of dead joggers, as more American followed Cooper, that I was going to kill as many people as Hitler did in World War II. The resistance to Jack knows the same thing, was very critical, very cynical, almost gave up at time and thought I'd go back and go through a traditional practice of medicine. But that was a different plan that the Lord had for me, because now we found that exercise is medicine, as I've said, and the data is too impressive to be ignored. I actually established my research institute, the Cooper Institute, 6 months before I saw my first patient in 1970, because my first book in 1906 was published on the Air Force personnel with an average age of 28 years. I had to have something that all people would benefit safely from. And so we established a research institute, and that's the reason we bridge that gap, because the paper we publish now is worldwide now, and we've been able to show that people exercise are healthier, living longer, enjoying lives to the fullest.
First of all, I want to say thank you. I'm here because of you all. And I love what Dr. Cooper said. In fact, in his second chapter, The Oklahoma Farm Boy, he says, wise words bring many benefits and hard work brings rewards. Proverbs 12:14. I love that. But more importantly, I'm here to say thank you because, first of all, I was one of those guys
Yes.
that ran. And I also was one of the guys that first in the 50s watched this man. And that's why I'm here today. And I can't thank you both enough. If we had the platform for America, for any healthy city, it's right in this moment right now. I want to say that because it's such a big deal to me, because we can grow as healthier as we grow older, and we can have pride and discipline. And that's my question. When it comes to all that we want to do, what's the key to discipline?
Discipline, Proverbs 13:18. The shame and poverty come of those who are not disciplined. People ask me to my key to success. I thought about it over the years. I thought that one word, discipline. People don't have that anymore. They start something, they give up. They don't like whatever it may be. Physicians don't want to get involved in preventive medicine because I don't know anything about it. I wasn't taught anything about exercise physiology and nutrition in medical school. It isn't taught in medical schools. Now I have these documentaries that for physicians to try to teach them something about preventive medicine. Everything I learned about preventive medicine, I learned at Harvard School of Public Health the 2 years I was there. I didn't learn it in medical schools. So I'm trying to teach physicians. You need to know something about it. We're doing this with the documentaries. And by the way, the one documentary we released is 42 minutes in length. This is back in November 2023, entitled The Power of Prevention and the World Impact of Aerobics. It was picked up by CNN when a reporter came down, not to video, but they interviewed me. And you can still go to CNN and type in on the homepage, Cooper Exercise, and you can see that interview. They told me the other day it's been downloaded by 729,600,000 people around the world. So the concept and idea that started here a few years ago, many years ago now, is spreading worldwide. I'm getting texts from places like Uzbekistan now. And getting people, we'll have a group from London coming over for an interview here for a podcast in the near future. So we've got a worldwide phenomenon going, and that's my whole goal of this book. If we can Cooperize the world, we can change the way that medicine is practiced in the future. From too much care too late to giving your health, your longevity is your responsibility, and you will reap benefits you never dreamed of that were possible.
Well, I
Never
think you're
put off until
absolutely,
tomorrow what you can do today.
that's right. You know, it's interesting.
Consistency is the key.
Yeah,
Is the
consistency and
key.
discipline. I think what's really interesting too is the fact that when we started the very first personal training center, when first this goes back to 1970s. When I was in the athletic club development business, we actually had a cardiologist on staff who did our testing because of you. He didn't last long, couldn't afford to do it, but it changed. The idea was that you needed to really have data and information about the human body. And when we were at Sony Pictures in 1991, when we developed the very first fitness center there on the lot in the world, actually, I had a PhD on staff that did all our testing. So I want to credit again everyone that's on this call, and without Jack getting and making it tangible for all of us, without even weights to be in shape, we can do that. So I'm so excited. I think the other interesting thing is, if I could, is that in light of this, when we trained John Travolta for the film Staying Alive in 1983, his discipline made it happen. His consistency made it happen. All of those things that's incumbent in all you were saying here makes it happen. And what's interesting is it's not that hard. We want to get to America and let them know that anyone can do it at any age.
Let me tell you something about how easy it is. One of my most famous articles published was in November 1989 in the Journal of the American Medical Association called Physical Fitness All-Cause Mortality. And we were able to classify people as very poor, poor, fair, good, excellent, superior. If they could just move up one block from very poor to poor, they could see a 6-year increase in longevity and a 58% reduction in all causes. They moved all the way out to the end. It was only a 9-year increase in longevity, 65%. The best return on your fitness investment is to avoid inactivity. WHO said back in October 2022, there are 500 million people worldwide who are totally sedentary. It costs over $47 billion a year just to try to treat diseases that are related to inactivity. Why are we aware of it? If you want to cut the cost of healthcare down, we prove that. You want to prevent Alzheimer's disease, we prove that we can do that. And we found it's cheaper and more effective to prevent diseases and find cure. Let me give you an example, Alzheimer's. We had a group of people called our Medicare study. We followed some 28,000 people who came to the clinic at average age 50. And all we did for the next 25 years is get their level of fitness. Very poor, poor, fair, superior. We compared the top category, bottom category. Only thing we looked at, level of fitness, their cholesterol, their body weight, nothing. We found the top category of fitness had 36% less Alzheimer's dementia than the bottom category. They had 40% less chronic kidney disease than the bottom category. They had 25% reduction in all types of cancer, 25% reduction in congestive heart failure. But the big thing, from 65 to 75 years of age, they had a 40% reduction in the cost of healthcare. Two things: we could prevent Alzheimer's dementia. We can reduce the cost of healthcare. I've had Senators John Cornyn and Ted Cruz in my office, and we got to those statistics: prolongation of life, reduce the cost of healthcare. Why get that information back to Washington? I said, I've been doing that for 40 years with no success. They want the pill. They want some simple but very expensive pill to slow down the progression. All we can do these drugs with Alzheimer's. Why don't you prevent it in the first place? Elaine, I don't have any signs of dementia. My advanced stage, I'm convinced it's because I've kept up my habit, my discipline. I didn't give up when I had to stop jogging.
Me too. Me too. You know what? When people would say, how do I can't get motivated, Jack, or I can't get motivated. You know, Jack was pretty much a one-liner, and he said, think of the results, and then when you think of the results, I mean, he says, can you move your finger? Oh, if you can move your finger, can you move your hands? Oh, if you can move your hands, you can move your feet. And then you can move your leg, and then you can lift your leg, and then you can do this. So it's one step at a time, but it's easy to do it. All you do is just begin. Think of the results.
Well, with all that information and all that we know, Dr. Cooper, why do you think prevention still takes a back seat to treatment in our healthcare system?
I know, too much care too late, as I said. But you realize that you've got a wonderful life here. You've got a wonderful body. Genesis says we should last 120 years. The reason they don't last that long is not because of the divine deficient, because of the way we treat our bodies. One of my favorite Bible verses too is Isaiah 40:31, that says, those that wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. and they will mount wings and soar like eagles. They will run and not be weary and walk and not faint. What else you want in life? You can get that if you can just embrace the concept of a spiritual and physical existence.
We are wonderfully and physically made. We are
Amen.
wonderfully and
That's in
Very good.
Psalms. We're wonderfully and beautifully made.
yes, right. So anyway, this is what Jack used to say too. It's a Bible verse someplace.
That's great.
Dan would know. Dan would know where that is.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
about
have to point out that I met Jack. Well, I met Jack. He came down and spoke to us many years ago at one of our events to raise money for a research institute. And the one thing I recall him doing, he had this big bowl, and he put a bunch of things in what the average American eats. You recall him doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that and and he spent there's about 500 people there. They couldn't believe you stir all that up, and you wouldn't possibly eat that. It looked terrible.
Yeah. He put all this stuff in a bowl. We were down at Dr. Cooper.
I remember that like that was yesterday.
A lot of people.
Okay, I really admired it.
Jack used to call it the death dinner. Tell me, I wanted to know now, Millie, when you met Millie, your wife, and in fact, is in our book, he quotes. I said, Dr. Cooper, I said, Millie and I are two peas in a pod. He says, that's an understatement. But anyway, did she go along with you on all your what you wanted to do into aerobics, and did she follow you too, or was she kind of the other way?
I couldn't have had a better supporter. We've been married now for 66 years, you can believe.
Yeah.
With a license. We just have lived together. We've had a license for 66 years. But she wouldn't listen to me at first. And I said, Millie, you're not paying attention to your diet. Your cholesterol is up. You need to be taking something to look at cholesterol. But she was exercising some. But then this was in 2017. She started having some pain and discomfort in her arms. We got on the trail, abnormal stress test, and found out that she had severe three-vessel coronary disease. And shortly after that, had to have a four-vessel bypass procedure. After that, she was exercising this morning. She went back into exercise regularly after 2017. And she's been a regular speaker for American Heart Association. She was Miss Aerobics, and she was a champion of exercise and all that. It was by word, not by mouth, not by word, by her word. But she made this statement to the people, about 1,000 women, and the Go Red for America, American Heart Association. So remember what I told you a year ago? How was the example? Let me tell the rest of your story. She told me the story. The story ended was, if your physician tells you to do something, do it, even though he might be your husband.
Millie is.
She's been on Crestor ever since then now, too.
She's dynamite, when we first
90 years of age, as I said, too. She said she'll be 89. She's not going to go past 89.
Well, she's trying to catch up to me.
So proud of you, what you've done, Lolly. You're setting a wonderful example for us older people.
When we talked about how long you exercise, I 20 minutes all my life is 20 minutes to a half hour. And but you know what? I thought into each exercise. In other words, if I was doing a weight, I would think into here, and I would like to see this pop up, but I think it's very, very important to think into the exercise. I've gone to these gyms, and Jack's been interviewed in a lot of these gyms. They want to interview him in there. So I see these people doing, they're what good is that? This is there's nothing. You're not getting any resistance. In order for you to get the job done, you got to have resistance and consistency. And
that's right.
So I always tell everybody, okay, put your hand on your shoulder. Okay, that's what's happening to this muscle, nothing.
License.
So, but if I close my fist and I bring it up really slow, whoa, this little muscle just pops right up.
Yes.
And that's what the key to exercise is, resistance.
And most women your age or any age don't have muscles like you do.
I really care about it, but when things go wrong and you're getting old, and I have macular degeneration, which is hereditary, so I can't do anything about that, and losing eyesight. And I have bone on bone knee because I was writing too many books and I didn't have time to do this knee. And but I do 20 to 30 jackknives every day. I don't touch my toes, but I touch kind of my ankles, and I stretch over, and just all, you don't even have to get out of bed. You just do that. And you could do little sit up, and you could do your leg across and do this. And pretty soon you're just, well, this is easy. So I could do a little more and a little more and a little more. And I keep it up every day. And stretching, I believe, how do you feel about stretching? Stretching is very important. I just, because you get, shoulders, you get really tight. And I always tell everybody to put your shoulders up to your ears, back and down, up to your ears, back and down. And it really relaxes between your shoulder blades. So that's my little contribution.
In Orlando, when the two of you all received the Lifetime Achievement Award, that was, Elaine, I don't know if you'll remember this. That was when we were talking in your room and you said, I still do jackknives every day. And I said, prove it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I
I
got
told
that
you.
video.
And I
It was a
videoed
great
it.
big room. It wasn't
Great.
a bedroom, but they had a kind of a bed there too. So I just popped on that bed and I did 20 jackknives for him. And I said, now do you believe me?
Well, the funny thing is, I posted it online and we got over 300,000, probably close to 500,000 views on that, just because yeah, and that was when you were 97. Now you're 99, still doing them every
Yeah.
day.
I show that to people, in fact, when they say they can't do it.
Never say can't. You know,
It's
you don't you don't start out doing a whole bunch of them. You start out easy. Everything you do, you have to make a step, right? Like a step ladder, or
yeah.
take a little step at a time, a baby step at a time.
But
And
people have to realize that advanced years that it's not easy. By an inch, it's easy. By a yard, it's hard. You have to take it a step at a time. If you too aggressively get into a program following some of the recommendations of the book, you're going to get sore. You're going to find problems. You're going to get depressed, discouraged, and not, I'm not going to do it anymore. So realize,
oh, you're right. You know what happened? One time, Jack says, he said something about doing a leg lunges. I said,
yeah.
that's easy. So he showed me a leg lunge. Oh, I could do this. Oh my gosh, I could hardly walk for 3 days because I overdid it and I had never done them before. So you have to watch out for all that stuff.
And the older you are, the longer it takes you to get into shape and the faster. It's just the reverse in youth. But you have to understand that. You have to take it stepwise and don't get discouraged because everybody's going to have a little pain or discomfort if they try to activate muscles they haven't used for many, many years. But that's a past tense. I don't want to give up my fitness program. I don't go through all that pain when they get sore again, trying to get back into shape, even in my advanced years. We all know that. So don't lose the best period of your life. Enjoy life to the fullest. At this advanced stage, who would ever predict that I'd be living this long when 95% of my medical class of 1956 has already died? Why? I asked my wife about that. I wonder why I'm still alive, still producing, exercising, publication, all that. And she said, because the Lord is not through with you yet. I think that's the
Amen.
truth of that.
I would agree
I
with that.
hope and pray that this book, the thing we're doing today with this podcast, will motivate people. I want to be more like Elaine LaLanne. I want to be more like Dr. Ken Cooper. I want to be enjoying life like he's enjoying. And that's my hope and prayer for all the people that are viewing this podcast.
What is the name of your new book again, so everybody can look for it?
Here it is.
Grow healthier as you grow older.
Yeah.
Your health is your responsibility, and no drug can replicate the benefits of an active lifestyle. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. I don't care how old you get. I mean, you can grow younger as you grow older, right?
And you can grow elderly as you grow older, as most people are doing too. But I want to grow youthfully as I grow older.
Me too.
Well, and as Elaine and I have talked, it's like we don't mind getting old. We just don't want to be old when we get there.
Age,
Yeah, that's right.
age of
One of my articles I wrote, I said, I don't want to be old when I'm old.
What's the best ideas for mindset, a creative mindset that's a healthy, young, vibrant mindset? Any ideas?
Believe it.
Believe it.
First of all, you have to believe.
You have to
If you
believe.
don't believe, then you're a dead duck. But I mean, if you believe that you can do it, then you can do it. I can do that. Well, and then you step and you try.
That's,
But a lot of people don't believe.
that's
It's a
the
faith
title
walk.
of my books. It's better to believe. Do you know that? One of my 20 books. It's better to believe.
Oh, really?
That's
You
great.
and I are on the same page.
Good word. I'm glad I asked that question. It's about belief and the faith walk to get stronger belief.
Yeah, that's really.
It's a big word.
I'm curious, looking back on your remarkable career, what do you consider your most meaningful contribution to our industry?
I think to make realize that your health is your responsibility. And if you can take that responsibility and follow it with some discipline and get the results that we know will occur, don't you want to risk that instead of something else, being sedentary, totally inactive, having all diseases? If you don't find time to exercise, you have to find time to be sick. Keep that in mind. All these things are worth all the effort and time you put into it. And I can say that with experience now of 94 years and still enjoying life to the fullest. So let's think about that in conclusion, saying that we've got wonderful goals in life to achieve. You're never too late to seek work towards those goals.
Never too late. You know, when we talked about believe, I have to tell you this story. Um, you know, when I would introduce Jack, and I know Millie and the two of you do lectures together, and Jack and I were doing this lecture. So I said to him, how many, after Jack was finished, I said, how many believe that Jack believes? Oh, everybody goes up and they lift their arms, and then I said, how would you like to hear him sing? I believe, and they kind of go up like this, and then so he sings a cappella, I believe, and he brought the house down. So that was the end of all of our lectures. I'd always say, how many people believe it? So that's how we got our standing ovations.
Wow. That's great.
But I think I wish you could hear. I could give you that in the last of I believe, Greg, and if you want to put it on.
But you don't go into Google, I noticed they have quite a few of my books listed now. And the one they listen to is Start Strong, Finish Strong. That's the way I want to end up my life. Start strong, finish strong.
And strong. I agree. I agree.
Great.
Well, I'm going to, as we wrap this up, I'm going to let the two of you, Elaine and Dr. Cooper, I'm going to let you two have the final words in this. And to motivate the world to health and fitness, I'll let you two finish it up.
Well, you know, mine is very simple. And I'm asked that question a lot. And I just say, keep moving. And Dr. Cooper, what do you say?
My word was just to avoid inactivity. Getting 30 minutes, collective or sustained, most days per week, 150 minutes per week, will give you such unbelievable benefits, you'd be surprised. So again, it takes so little, but the key is discipline. Remember, as I said before, in Proverbs 13:18, shame and poverty come those not discipline.
And amen.